Kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us. It is Friday, September the 29th. This weekend, the weather is looking pretty unsettled around New Zealand and to kick off next week, and also the southeastern corner of Australia. Let's get into it. On the animated wind map today, showing the wind energy. So the brightest areas you see, like this area here, that is where the strongest winds are. And that is what is coming in for Saturday for northern New Zealand. And we've also got plenty more windy weather coming through with another surge on Monday next week. So it is typical sort of spring weather. Let's get into the forecast. So here we are with the rain for the next 72 hours. Most of the rain on the west coast, up to 100 millimetres there. Elsewhere, the rainfall numbers drop off, only half that total, about 45 millimetres for central areas, and not much in the very north of both islands, although the Nelson Ranges will see some heavy rain. Nelson itself, only 10 to 15 millimetres, and very little in the way of rain along the eastern side of the South Island. And that's for the next 3 days ahead. Plenty of windy weather means that most of that rain gets caught up on the southwestern side. But here we are at lunchtime Sunday, and that southerly turns more southeasterly for the North Island. So that's why you've got a bit of rain coming through for you. It is a very windy day. Severe gales for the top of the country, Northland and Auckland. Been a little bit of a reduction in those wind gusts in the last sort of day or so in the forecast for Saturday. So that's a little bit of good news. But severe gales are highly likely around the country, especially in Auckland, where winds could be over 100 k's an hour in exposed places. Let's have a closer look at that wind. So this is 5 o'clock, Saturday afternoon and evening. The worst area of winds right here, sou'westers coming in. So the western side of Northland and Auckland, both exposed to these potentially damaging winds. So they'll be gusting through across the afternoon. That'll be the main peak. Will be Saturday afternoon and evening, and then it should start to ease off as we go into nighttime. And very windy in the east here, gusts getting up to close to 100 k's an hour. Wellington, living up to its name of being the windiest city in the world, got severe gale southerlies here for a time on Saturday, and then by Monday you've got severe gales coming back in from the north. So that's Wellington for you. So here we are on Sunday, those southerly winds swinging back around to the west now. So that's why Wellington sees that change. The southerlies disappear and the west to northwest winds come back in again. High pressure to the north, low pressure to the south. Tasmania, the main place caught up in the unsettled weather on Sunday. So windy weather right up to Melbourne. It'll be windy in Sydney, but a different hot kind of wind. It is going to be 35 degrees, we think, at Sydney Airport, and 36, 37 for Penrith and Parramatta. So inland areas of Sydney looking especially hot. Canberra also, and the ACT will be up into the 30s as well on Sunday. So that warm airflow coming out to New Zealand, but it doesn't last too long because it'll be turning into a southerly for New Zealand on Monday. But before it gets there, those are those strong winds just passing through Tasmania. This is Sunday lunchtime. Worst of those winds here, gusting to 120 k's an hour, but it's just south of Hobart. Hobart itself, 60, 70 k's, so gusting into gale force, but not necessarily too damaging. So here we are on Monday, where we have the windy westerlies over the North Island. There'll be gale force northerlies in Wellington, gusting over 100 k's an hour. And then that southerly change comes in, and that will be moving in up towards Wellington later into the day, and with a cooler change coming behind it, and snow for the mountains and ranges. Then we go through into Monday lunchtime. That's just taking a closer look at those winds. Mostly severe gale through Cook Strait, so it brushes Wellington, Waited Upper area, but you can see that southerly. So that's a northerly gale force wind coming through Wellington, and down here for Dunedin and the Catlins, it's a severe gale sou'wester, and that will move up towards Wellington. So by Tuesday, windy southerlies coming into the lower North Island, but with that high pressure zone right next door, it means that places like Northland and Auckland will finally see those winds calming down. And in fact, as that comes in at nighttime, a risk of frosty weather around parts of New Zealand on Tuesday. And look at this. Here is the next unsettled change for Australia. A cold front coming in there for Adelaide, Melbourne and Hobart, with windy conditions as well. And our final map on Wednesday, well, this will be quite good news for Australia. It is very dry at the moment. Having some rain in here, that is not really in the forecast so much going into summer. So make the most of that rain falling. There could be some heavy falls lining up here between Griffith and the coastline on the border there of Victoria and New South Wales. So that is around Tuesday, Wednesday next week for you. And in New Zealand, mostly settled on Wednesday. But look, there's a bit of a squeeze up with the isobars and those winds coming out of Australia. So again, it will be warming up fast. There might even be some frosts around on Wednesday morning, but by the afternoon, into the 20s. That's all from me. Have a great weekend. Keep an eye out for our ClimateWatch update that's coming out later on today, Friday. Otherwise, we'll see you again next week.